I'm the lead singer of the band Harvest Men. I've been playing music since I was 16 and now I'm 26, so I've learned a lot and I wanted to share it with you so that you would not go through the excruciating pain of learning it the hard way. And it's something that you can do and hopefully take these tips and put it to use. So in this video, I wanted to say one of the most important things as a musician is your vehicle to travel in. And you do not have to look at it as like this thing that's overwhelmingly difficult. If you want something very nice, classy, that makes you look successful, then yes, it's difficult because it takes a lot of money. But the first thing I did when I was 20, I lived in Nashville, went out of town for a few months, worked, and got like $1,000. Well, I worked for my grandfather, got $1,000, flew back to Nashville with $1,000. So what did I do with that $1,000? I purchased a 10-passenger van from Rocketown. Rocketown, like the song from Michael W. Smith, Rocketown, just like the song. And I looked at it and I was like, this is going to be what I'm going to use for my upcoming gig. Now, rewind back to April of 2014. We had a gig at this place called the Klondike Center in Alabama, and I knew that there were going to be 5 band members, and it was going to be something that is going to be exhausting to go in a regular car. So I need something where everyone can be comfortable, everyone can have their own seats, and everyone can just have the most relaxed experience of their life and then go and have an amazing show. Also, as a band member, and a band leader, I got a cooler and just loaded it with Coke, Sprite, Dr. Pepper. So band members didn't have to buy their own drinks and we could just stay on the road and have a really good time. And that's what we did. So what happened was I purchased this van and I drove it for a while and I was like, this is going to be a great show. Then unfortunately, the head gasket blew because they basically sold me a lemon. And I was like, well, this sucks. So I tried to get it fixed in time for the show. It didn't work. We ended up taking my mom's car, and she drove, and it was from Tennessee to Alabama. So there were 5 guys, and one was in the front seat, 2 were in the back seat, and of course there was the driver, who was my mom, and then one guy was in the trunk, and it was something we had to switch out because, not everyone wanted to stay in the truck for a 4-hour ride. So that really taught me, I had the right idea by getting this vehicle. It was not my fault that it broke down, but it is very miserable going cross country, with 5 guys in a car that really is only supposed to seat 4. And the thing is, we had a blast. It's basically like being in the 70s where everyone just, crowded into a very small car and just went and did an amazing show. And everyone in the band was paid, and there was a lot of good outcome in that way because there wasn't a lot of expenses. But as soon as that show was over, I was like, God, I need to get a bus or a motorhome. And I was like, there are buses that are very, very practical. They're called conversion buses. And they're basically like these like Greyhound buses that are from like the 90s, and they're not used anymore, and they're sold for like $4,000. And if you go online, you'll see conversions. I recommend not going online because some of them are pretty junky, but where you can just tear out the seats and install your basically kitchen, and you can remodel it to where it looks like a real tour bus. And in reality, they are buses that can be converted into tour buses. And it's a very cheap way. Instead of buying a $200,000 tour bus, you can make your own. So that was my plan for the longest time. I started saving. I picked out the interior. I picked out, the refrigerators, the dryers, the sink faucets down to the bed. I was going to make bunks just like the tour buses. So there can be 4 bunks, 2 on each side, and you can walk down and it's going to be well lit. And that the band members would go in there and they would look at the TV. And I was going to buy a PlayStation 3 so that they can actually have fun. I was going to get some black booths. All this stuff I'm still going to do. But after a while, I started looking at it like that is a great way of doing it. But what I wanted is for band members not to be scared when they look at your conversion bus and say, like, I'm not getting in that thing. So I wanted it to be something that's professional enough so when people see you drive up the alternative route, which is get a motorhome / RV that already has all that stuff in it. And yes, it can still be remodeled, but something that's a 99 or newer. So I was looking at that and I was like, this would be perfect. It looks like a tour bus, but people have enough faith that it's going to run, that they're not going to be running for the hills when you pull up. They're going to say, oh, this is an RV. It looks great. I'm going to go in. So I did that. And I was looking at this place called the RV, like Camping World. And I was like, Camping World. So $20,000, $19.99, you get an RV. We get your money. It takes 10 years to pay it off. And I was like, well, that really sucks because I only have like $1,000 to put towards the down payment. And I needed $2,000. So I was like, this sucks. And then I realized that when you go on Craigslist, people were selling the exact same models for less than $10,000. So there wasn't this huge upmark price. So I was looking at them and I was like, if I were to take an RV from 1999, look at it, and they're selling it for $8,000 and offer like $7,000, they would probably say yes. Most people are rational human beings. So I looked at that and I was thinking, instead of giving an RV lot my money and letting them accumulate my payments for 10 years, although the payments were like $250 and you can technically live in it, if you want to, that's not what I wanted to do, but I wanted to have it in my parking lot and just be able to take it on the road and not have to wait a long time to save that money. But I determined to myself that it would be better to save up the cash and save up $6,000 and purchase the thing in cash instead of giving it to a lot and getting the exact same product that is over double the price. And it looks like it's going to be a very good thing. These people are very giving and they want your money. They want to get rid of your old RV. But when you have the cash, it speaks louder than words. I always say cash speaks louder than words. And as a musician, it might seem hard to save that money, but it's very doable if you set yourself a budget and save a small amount every month. And it goes along with like building credit. If it's $200 a month and you just save it, save it, save it, by the end of 2 years, you're going to have enough to get an RV. And then you can travel in style. Now, the other thing that you can do with that RV is if you're not embarrassed of your name, your face being out in town, you can wrap it. And you can basically, if you see politicians that do this and your face is on it and they're like, this is so-and-so for president or so-and-so for mayor, you can do that as a musician with your band name. And that also covers up all of the dents or scratches or anything that an older RV might carry. It can look like a brand new 2020 RV just because it's wrapped and it looks professional and it's professionally done with the band name. And it can even look like a tour bus if you do it correctly. Now, the alternative of wrapping it is getting a trailer. And your music trailer is something that you can purchase used or new. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than an RV. But if you don't want to wrap your entire RV, you can also just wrap the trailer. So it's free advertising. If you go from like LA to Florida and thousands of people are looking at your RV and your trailer, it's going to be free advertising. And it's also going to be advertising when it's parked in your yard. And like my band's Harvest Men, so it'll say Harvest Men. And every time someone goes by your house, they're like, oh, Harvest Men, that must be a band. That's cool. So you can do it without completely wrapping your entire RV, because a lot of people want their RV to look professional as well. And there's nothing unprofessional about wrapping it, but once it's wrapped, you can't really undo it easily. It costs a lot of money. So that is another thing that you can do with your income and just putting it to the best use possible. Now, when in 2010, I read an article that you need $5,000 to go on tour in case something happens. It's one of those things that I would not tell your band the cash you have on hand, because a lot of times band members can get resentful of that they're making a small salary and you have all this money. Just keep it in your bank account in case of emergency. And the next video I'm going to make is going to be how you can utilize your credit points and the deals that the companies offer so you can go really far if you're doing an independent tour. We're also going to talk about, just the average stuff like getting licensed and music festivals and all that stuff. So I hope you guys stay tuned and we'll see you on the next one.